Welcome, ghouls, demons, fellow weird ones, and we are back for another story time, another weird story time. What are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about my Lunar Memoirs. We're going to talk about the Lunar Memoirs and what they are, why I do them, and all of the above. So the Lunar Memoirs are my personal memoirs of my life. It's essentially my personal diary, my journal out there for the world, and why does anyone give a fuck about what is in my diary? I don't know. I don't know if anyone is genuinely interested. I don't care if anyone is genuinely interested. I've had to kind of come to that conclusion that I can't care and that I don't care about it. That I shouldn't, because why? It's out there for a variety of reasons. It's my legacy, it's my life. If it helps anybody. I don't know. I love history, and growing up, it always kind of seemed to me how fun it would be to be a spirit, to be a ghost, or to be up in heaven, or to be wherever, and to be looking back at my life, or to see the future of the earth or whatever, and see people discover my journal, my diary, and what it could leave for the world, what it could leave behind for the world, my legacy. You know, what life was like in 2025. I mean, I started doing the diary. Well, I have journal entries, I believe, that started in 21, potentially 2020, probably 21. That sounds about right. But I started posting on my website in 22, and then like very sporadically. That not everything I posted. I've gotten to a point where that was really got to a point where I guess like. I'm more intentional about what I post online. Not that I was still wearing my heart on my sleeve. I'm still a bleeding heart, an open book. It's just changed the rhythm of how I speak. I think personally, I don't know if anyone notices the shift of the detail versus maybe the emotional whininess versus the vulnerability versus the conclusionary wisdom that I try to put in there. I think as I've evolved, I sound more like a teacher, philosopher, or something along those lines versus just a girl in her diary. But I also still feel like there is the essence of just a girl in her diary, because it is from the feminine perspective. It's definitely a feminine perspective. It's definitely weighing out the experiences of the world. And then I call it Lunar Memoirs because it's probably more the shadow side of things. It's my inner world. It's all of the moon symbolisms, and it's me weighing out things. None of it is finite. None of it is like they're ideas. It's where I'm putting my thoughts down, and I guess it hopes that maybe I'm not alone. Maybe to help other people not feel alone. So there's a lot to it. There is spiritual and historical wisdom and record put into it. There's the weighing and the problem solving and the long digestible processing of certain concepts, because like they're written phase. That's another key into the name. And so I start them on each new moon, and then they end before the next new moon, and it's a full lunar cycle, so a full month. Some of them have daily logs, some of them are grouped. It kind of depends on where my life is. I prefer a daily log when I can get it into my routine and my rhythm. The tides are always different, so I gotta kind of go with it, which I've and learned how to do, or I'm still learning how to do. But yeah, it's my release. And then I'm putting it back out into the cosmos, to be transmuted, to be healed, to be, I guess, whatever it is. I don't know what it is. A lot of the things that I do, I'm not too sure the exact purpose of it. It just is something that I want to do and I feel like doing. I love writing them. And with the few people who consistently read them, I love hearing what they have to say about it. You know, they're like, oh, it's really relatable. The way you speak, the way I tell the story of my day to day. Every day is romantic to some extent. It's the highs, lows, the full spectrum of the human experience. And I think it goes to show the volumes of insight or creative energy that I have. I think it really shows people a way to get to know me. They get to see and feel my heart. You get to enjoy my joys and you get to feel my pain if you want to, but all of the people who are inspired by me, some of the people who want to be me, or some people, because that's part of it. But all the people who see guidance from me, all the influential, inspiring things, all of the possibilities of why it is that I'm here and why people care about what I have to say, because that's something that I've really wondered. I never really understood or saw that people cared what I had to say until people really started to listen, and then it made me nervous. It made me nervous. I guess I would say I fumbled, not just fumbled, failed for a variety of reasons. And people don't give you grace. They expect you to be perfect right away. Like, hey, listen, no one has ever paid attention to a fucking thing I have said most of my life. And now hundreds, thousands of people are listening to me. That's insane. Nobody listening to a fuck ton of people listening is a lot. It just became a more digestible way. It was a slow down process. For people who watch other videos, you'll know trying to figure out how to communicate, especially through voice, because my brain is 50 million channels ahead. And when I write, I get to slow down. And so I think it expresses the story in a much more cohesive way, which I've said in multiple different videos in multiple different ways. But I think like my Lunar Memoirs, that is my humanity pouring out of me. That is no performance, which I try not to perform anyway, but even when I do my intros, there's a part of everything that's a little performative. Every part of existence with intention is performative to an extent. Not that it's inauthentic. My intro is a very authentic intro, but it's performative in the fact that, well, I do it every time, and then there's a part of me that feels silly, and then there's a part of me that's like, people get it. They know the intro, but then it's like, well, that's what people look forward to. It's a jingle, it sticks in your head, it's all the psychology of all the things that I don't want to do because I don't want to be manipulating. But I also want to build a fan base. I want it to be a thing. There's reasons they work, and how do you find the balance in it? Again, performance, not bravado. And that's been a huge lesson of all of this. And so there's no performing in my Lunar Memoirs. It is me in my fullest emotions, and whichever area they land on the emotion wheel, it's raw. I don't edit it, so there's probably a lot of and you can feel and see the emotion through the typos or the language used or all of the above, because it just kind of depends. But I get going, and that is everything pouring out of me in there in a raw medium. And then from all of those, you see where my stories come together, and it's like a nice, cute, perfectly wrapped little fable or fairy tale that took months of astrological cycles for me to process and come together. So you keep up with the Lunar Memoirs, the candle stories, the stories behind the tales, all of the things. It's just more breadcrumbs. It's more puzzle pieces into the entire picture or experience. That is Sarah Melanoe, Wyrd Curations, and whatever the fuck else it is that I am doing and where I'm being led. But that's like that writing, I guess it could be my more masculine version of things, however you want to view that, because there's the Aquarius voice that I hear, but then my Mercury's in Capricorn, which would be feminine, depending on how you want to look at that. And so I think that's where the poetry comes in. So it's just, I don't know, it's also, it shows people how I have used all of these spiritual tools for my self-discovery to find my purpose and my destiny, and to take control of my life, to weave my web of weird instead of repeating the pattern of my orlog. So I really need to get better at pronouncing words, especially if I'm going to be yapping. That's another thing I like about writing, is I don't show a whole lot of my mistakes, because I get to fix it a little bit easier, a little more inconspicuously, which is also nice. But again, the Lunar Memoirs, I don't really edit. But when I'm typing, because you are slowed down, you do fix a few things just kind of naturally. But I post it. I do reread them and reflect upon them when I need to. but I'm not reading through it, editing it, taking things out like, oh, that one's offensive, or like, I don't overthink it. I just put it out there and then it uploads. And it's by the full moon. So it's released on the full moon. And so like there's an Aries full moon this Libra season. And so it's the Aries new moon logs. So you'll see the pole of things. And I've spaced it out even more. I used to only have it spaced out every 3 months. Now I have it spaced out 6 months. I guess for further protection, I do think that that's important for anyone who's wanting to put themselves out there openly in a vulnerable space. I came to that conclusion the same way that artists, the best like musicians and songwriters of the world of any era, are people who pour their soul into their work. But they'll tell you, like, oh, this song is about something that happened years ago, or I was going through this at the time, but now it's like 3 years in the future. So there is space and reflection, and I think that allows for security to be vulnerable in the present, and handle the public eye, especially as we're trying to juggle this evolutionary side of our psyche with social media, the internet, and all the stimuli coming through all the time. So how do we balance that without burning ourselves out? Well, it's staying rooted in certain traditional measures that work, which would be delaying the release, which is something my generator, not just generation, generator, my human design struggles with doing. I'm constantly creating, constantly putting stuff out there, but I'm learning to organize it in a way that isn't so overwhelming, and has a more smoothness to it for, I think, everyone involved. So yeah, so with that, I hope y'all enjoy my Lunar Memoirs. They are on my website. They are subscription only. That's another, people get curious and people want to be nosy. If you really care, then you can pay the energetic exchange for access to it. And then I guess what you do with the information, you do with the information. Try not to overthink all of those things, because it can be terrifying to be so open. Like, think about it. Who wants their diary out in the world? I don't know if Anne Frank really wanted her diary out there, but it is. And here I am intentionally putting it out there and kind of hoping that people find it for what it's worth, I guess. So yeah, so those are my Lunar Memoirs. So please enjoy. Let me know what you think, or don't if it's not constructive, and I don't want to know about it. I'm trying to learn what comments are worth reading and which ones aren't, and how I want to interact with the public in this public space without being too parasocial, and learning the boundaries of everything. Because I'm such a transparent person, and my memoirs, my diary is a huge telling of that. And so yeah, it's a journey for everybody, but I hope by giving myself permission to be as transparent and vulnerable as I am, that more people will open their hearts and open their minds to being similar in their own way, not the same. We all have our own ways of being that way, but I think the more transparent and the more open people can be, I think that's where we align with the metaphor of telepathy. Is it's just we're no longer masking, we're no longer hiding ourselves from the world or ourselves from ourselves. And that includes by just being honest about how we feel or what we think. And we have to do that in a space that doesn't have censorship or fear of persecution for contemplation of ideas. That is what the memoirs are. Okay, I think that kind of wraps it all up. If you have any other questions, just let me know. But thanks for listening. What do you think, buddy? Was it good?